go-to podcast for the pulse of Phoenix and beyond. As always, we're all the way live in Paradise Valley in Phoenix, Arizona. I am Damon Ellison and my co-host,
Iesha.
We will be your guide for the exciting stories and everyday happenings in your vibrant community, your weekly dose of inspiration, innovation, and insightful conversations from the heart of our city. But first, I don't know why that's in there, man. It keeps killing me. But first, we're going to talk about some of the stories that we are going to discuss today. What happened this week, and some of the things that we have seen throughout the week since we've been on a little break. It's kind of difficult, man, to get back to normal, man. But good morning, everyone, and welcome to Habari Live. Like I said, I am Damon Ellison, and we're going to get to this to what we're going to discuss real fast. This morning, we're examining two stories that at first glance they may seem completely unrelated, but one takes us back 161. Oh my goodness, it's not right. Let's run the intro.
Habari Entertainment proudly presents Habari Live. Habari Live. From Phoenix, Arizona. And you're listening to the Habari Live podcast. The show that brings you news, sports, and entertainment for people who love HabariEntertainment.com. Here are your hosts, Iesha, Jimmy, and Damon Dipleen Ellison. Let's get it going. We are all the way live.
Yo, welcome back, and we're gonna go straight to some to the news and everything that's going on this week, man. We're gonna go straight into the topic and just start discussing what's going on this week, man, with ICE and what's been going on as they have killed a couple more people. You know, a lot of people have been dying when we're talking about at their facilities. A lot of rape has been reported. It's just been very ugly. Now, we're not going to act like people have not died in ICE custody before. But what's different about what's going on now is that ICE they cannot pull people over. And they seem when they're targeting someone, or they just see someone that they have racially profiled and figured that they are not from this country, they can't figure out how to pull people over. And their excuse continues to be that the person's trying to run them over, or whatever else is going on. But they can't figure out how to pull people over, and it's continuously becoming deadly, and more people are dying at the hands of ICE because of these decisions that are being made. Now we see the Trump administration, they have made a lot of excuses. They have not tried or done anything to try to switch or make the situation any better for what's going on the streets. They've doubled down. We see Stephen Miller and Tom Homan all making excuses, saying that it's okay and what's going on is okay. And it's not working out for the American people, man. We see consistent protest. We've seen protesters get shot. We've seen them shoot at protesters that are priests. We've seen them arrest American citizens on a continuous basis. Over and over again, ICE has made decisions that goes against what America is supposed to stand for, what the Constitution is supposed to stand for, what human rights and what the constitutional rights of all those that are on American soil is supposed to have. And what we've seen is these guys continuously go against those rights, not give people the rights that they're supposed to have, from the courts, the courts, to just making sure that those people who are given a fair shake. Most of the people they're going after are people who are going to work, people who are going to school, people who are doing things that are right and doing it the right way in America. They're showing up for their court cases and then they're arresting them at the courthouse. So it's been ugly since the beginning, and everything that's been going on with ICE has just been disgusting. And to see people look the other way and make excuses or try to bring up Obama and what how many people that he deported, and we did not have all this ugliness. We did not have all these issues that we have right now. But you can't tell them that. They believe that it's been this way the whole time, and the left just ignored it. This is their logic. But we all know this is not the way it was, or the way it is, or the way it's supposed to be. And what ICE is doing is disgusting. It's ugly. And under the leadership of Tom Homan now, or was it Christy Nome at first, whoever it was, it's been bad. And we're just going to go over some of the cases and talk about some of the situations that that has happened so far over the last couple of weeks, and just try to take a deeper dive into what's been going on. Man, dude. I mean, just me, you see, bro. I wish you guys didn't have so much hate in your heart, man. You're led by hate. You everything is hate, 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 hate. You
I
just
think
hate
he's trying to say
everyone.
that that's how MAGA is thinking.
Oh, but yeah, basically, they hate everyone, and their whole ideas, if that's what you're saying, is to hate everyone, and that's what they do, man. They hate everyone. Anyone that has ideals differently than them hate America. So I agree with you if you're saying that just me, you see. I agree with you. It seems it's insane the way they want to demonize being a libertarian in the country. And right now, they're running with the communism thing. That's a big thing they're doing right now. Communism, 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 and that's what they're going to talk about. That's what they're going to discuss. That's what we're going to bring up today. But we got 2 men dead after encounters with federal agents. A United States citizen was forced to the ground after questioning an ICE operation in his own neighborhood. A flight attendant was arrested while reporting for work at an American airport. A young protester was shot outside a privately operated ICE detention facility. In case after case, families and communities are asking the questions. Who were the agents? Why did they use force? Where is the body camera footage in these cases? Who gets to see this evidence? Why does it seem like it's so difficult to get ICE to answer any questions or to investigate any of the murders that they commit on the American streets? And when the official story seems to always conflict with what witnesses or surveillance video appears to show, over and over again, it seems to show that ICE is lying. But we ask the question, who has the authority to demand the truth? This is not a conversation about whether the United States has immigration laws. We all know it does. And we all know that those laws should be enforced. We know that you should go after the people who are criminals and the people who are doing bad things. But the immigrants that are going to work, doing what they're supposed to, you would think that these people would get left alone. It's not a conversation about whether the federal government has the authority to enforce those laws. We all know it does. But our focus is what happens during this enforcement that limits the American person getting their access to justice or getting a fair a day in court. What happens to those things? What limits do these people see? What can they not do? Are they ever in the wrong? Is anyone ever going to be held accountable for what they've done, who they've killed? It looks like when an operation ends with someone injured, detained, or dead, this is just ICE under fire. And it seems like they never, ever face any consequences. Yeah, you're right. It's a misdemeanor, man. That for some reason we're treating people like it deserves to be a death sentence. It's kind of crazy. Over 70% of ICE detainees are legally in U.S. I mean, most of the people that a lot of people they've been detaining aren't criminals. That's what we do know. Only 5% have been dangerous people. So that's one thing we do know. They haven't been going after the criminals that they said they were going to go after. But to the racists, to them, they're all criminals. That's why I never understand why so many Latinos voted for this crap. Because if you don't listen, you don't hear them saying they're calling all of you all criminals. They're not trying to decipher which ones are criminals and which one is not. They feel that you're all criminals and none of you should be here. We've watched so many deadly encounters, so many questionable arrests, and we've watched as state after state demands accountability from ICE and from this administration, and we get neither. We get no answers. They don't investigate anything. They just we investigated ourselves and we found out we did nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. And over again, those are the things that we are being handed, and they're not doing anything. It's it's insane, man, what we're seeing. We're going to talk about these stories, and we're going to talk about these things. But first, let's play this video of Tom Homan and how he feels about the direction of ICE and how things are going so far, and how he thinks things are going to go in the future.
Training procedures changing. You talked about training the trainers. How are those training procedures changing? And
they're not changing. The trainers for the cameras. How do you operate the camera? What's the requirements? When do you turn it on? When do you turn it off? How quick do you need to store the data? How long is the data being stored? So there's a lot of work in this, and training the trainers. Once they get fully trained, they go to the field office with the equipment, and they implement and deploy it and tell people, here's how you use it and here's how you control it.
So what's the timeline then for every immigration agent to have a body camera?
As soon as possible, if that my way.
So you're satisfied with the training right now of ICE agents? Nothing needs to be improved.
There's always room for that's a loaded question. There's always room for improvement. Things change all the time. FBI updates their training. DEA updates their training. Every police department updates their training. Because ICE used to look. You can never be overtrained. I wish there was more training.
I think American people want the answer of when every ICE agent will be wearing a body camera. I know you said as soon as possible, but is there a timeline floating around within?
That's a question for ICE. I know they got a deployment schedule, and I know they got the equipment. That's a question for ICE. I'm not in the weeds that deep.
When will they be required to turn on their cameras? At all times during a traffic stop?
Yeah. Yes.
And what's the consequence if they don't?
More about the quantity of ICE agents over the quality of agents?
Say that again?
Is this administration more concerned about the number, the quantity of ICE administrations that are over the quality?
I can't speak for everybody in the administration, but quality agents are very important. So it should be all. You won't give somebody a badge and gun; they need to be the best they can be.
So are there going to be reevaluations of the hiring?
That's a question for us.
Is there any other procedure or protocol on the ground changing? Stops?
There's already, the director of ICE decided that there needs to be at least one body camera in the scene. And again, I'm a big supporter of the body cameras, and as more body camera kits out there, they all have them.
That's the only change.
But let's be clear. You can attack the men and women at ICE all you want. It comes down to one simple fact: these people fail to comply with law enforcement. Even some of the major chiefs in this country, who don't necessarily agree with this administration, says you always comply with law enforcement. But the hateful rhetoric that ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. I see these signs that resist. ICE are let's abolish them. They're fascists. When you keep that hateful rhetoric up for a year and a half, there's going to be that percentage of that part that population that it's going to be emboldened to take action because they're not real law enforcement. They see I should resist them. All they had to do is simply comply with law enforcement. If you don't like what law enforcement did to you, then go to the court, sue, call the ACLU, do whatever you want to do. But you should always comply with law enforcement. If they did, they'd be alive today. Now, I'm not going to comment on the investigation itself and wait for it to play out. This is about complying with law enforcement, and a lot of the negative hateful, and I said this a year ago, if a hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And unfortunately, I was right. Now, I'll tell you something else. It's not over yet. Unless they keep attacking and miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis, and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me? And I'm not saying the whole country's convinced, but there's going to be that population that's just going to embolden to do something stupid. And I'm afraid that we're going to bury an ICE agent. I'm afraid I'm going to hand another folded flag to a spouse or a child of an ICE agent for simply doing his job. And for any member of Congress to keep attacking ICE and calling them fascists and Nazis, I said it 1,000 times. If they're a Nazi for enforcing the law, what's that make them? They wrote the law. We're not making this up. We're enforcing laws they wrote, and that they appropriate us money to enforce. Now, I'll say it once again. If ICE agents acted improperly or illegal, they'll be held accountable, just like they were held accountable in Minnesota.
Were they?
Everybody, guys,
Really?
ICE agents are mom and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day to do this job. And it's just not attack on the ICE agents, it's attack on their spouses and children, and no one knows that better than me. I can't even go get a quart of milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country. It's pathetic and it's disgusting. Thanks,
All that acting he just did, like they are the victims.
Man.
Somehow, ICE has been around for a long time, and we've never had ICE gunning people down in the streets. All those years before this administration, it never happened before. Somehow you get in office and they've gunned down like 4 people in the streets. And then it's not the fault of them gunning people down. It's the fault of people not complying. How were they able to figure out how not to kill people in this middle of the streets all of these years before? All of these years before. We've never heard of ICE killing people. Why is this something that they can't stop doing? It's because they're not trained correctly. It's the rhetoric that they are passing to them, to their ICE agents. What Stephen Miller is telling them, calling people killers and criminals, and treating people who have just came to this country, which is a misdemeanor. It is not a felony the way they are treating people. They're walking around with masks on. Why didn't ICE wear masks all these other years? They didn't wear masks before. Why are they wearing them now? Why didn't they wear them before?
Right.
And why are they wearing them now? Why are they wearing them now? Because they know what they're doing is garbage. How they're treating people is garbage. That's why they're wearing masks. They didn't wear masks before. That was never an issue.
They're trying to be like the Watchmen.
This is they're wearing masks because they know they are doing something wrong. And they don't want people to see them doing the things that they are doing. If this was good things that they were doing and they were helping the community and they weren't treating people like crap, they wouldn't wear the mask. They never wore them before. All these years that ICE has been established, we've never seen them do these things. All of these tactics are new. You introduce new tactics to the game and you think that people are not going to say, hey, this is different.
Right.
This is not what we've seen before in the past. We didn't see this. We didn't see them walking through the streets, pulling people over, shooting at people. This was never a problem. Why wasn't these the issues before? Why wasn't it? Why was they able to control themselves and not shoot people in the past?
Mm-hmm.
But today they just can't figure it out. They just can't they just can't figure it out. People that are illegal or have overstayed their visas or whatever the case, you calling them illegals is just so dumb. But whatever you want to call them, it is not a felony. It is not murder. They do not deserve to be treated in this manner. If you want to deport all of the people, just you don't want, that's what you want to do. But you can't treat these people like a piece of trash the way that ICE and this administration is treating them. Have some respect, man. Have some respect. Go ahead.
I agree. But we just want to thank our viewers for spending a part of their Saturday with us. Before we begin, we're going to ask that you like the broadcast, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you have the chance, become a member. Because we're going to be diving into some serious topics on this channel. And some of the topics that we discussed today may have material that may be disturbing. And if we do have top material that is like that, we will forewarn you prior to showing the material, just so that way you are aware. But again, thanks for spending a part of your Saturday with us. I'm Iesha. I'm your co-host. Let's give it back to Damon.
I mean, you know, the right, they always want to bring up, what about the ones that did commit crimes? I mean, no one on the left has argued against deporting people who commit crimes. Not one person has fought against that. Not one person has stood against those things. What we think is morally corrupt is going after people who are showing up for their court dates, going after people who are showing up to work, who are doing their job, taking care of their kids. They aren't someone that is hurting society. They're someone that's bringing good and doing things that they should be doing, because we need immigrants. They come here and they work jobs and they do the jobs that a lot of us do not want to do. And if they are doing those jobs and they're not committing crimes, those people should not be treated like criminals. Now, if you guys were going after the criminals like Donald Trump promised he would, not many people would have anything to say about what's going on. But he chose to go after the people who are showing up for work. He's going after people who are at work. Continuously, he has. He's went after people that are I mean, he's went after so many people that are just going about their everyday lives. It's the thing is, yes, don't come here illegally. That's the answer to everything. But one of you guys' favorite people, Elon Musk, overstayed his visa before he became a citizen. So if we would have went by the rules that you guys want to go by,
Elon should have been deported.
Elon would have been thrown out. They would have thrown him out the country and marked him as a criminal. But we know that you guys aren't, it's about race and what color you are and how brown or black you are, on how those feelings are put in place. So if it's Elon, it's fine. He's fine. But it's some person from Nicaragua or anything else, then they're terrible and we got to get rid of them.
Right.
So it's insane to see it, man. See the racism and see the hate and see the way that things are going right now. But like I say all the time, in the past, when the Jews came here, they hated the Jews. And these are usually the things that you can normally tell what's going on in society and what's going on with the economy. Because if the economy is going badly and people don't have jobs and people don't see a future where they are getting what they need, or they are getting a prosperous future, then they usually start blaming immigrants. And this is just shows you the direction this country is headed, and the direction the country has been headed since the 80s. And people are upset about it, and it's about how, Democrats, they look at it as the rich is getting all the money, and we want to do something about changing the situation where all the rich, what's up, Ryan? One of our favorite people there. But we don't want to talk about how the rich people, man, are just collecting all the money, putting it in their pockets. Other people, they love the rich, so they feel as though you have to blame immigrants and black people. You know, it's a sad situation, but if you look at the numbers, you see everything. You see that the rich has gotten a lot richer, man. The poor is still poor. The poor people and the people who were poor in 1980, those groups are still poor. They have made a little strides. I'm not going to say that they haven't, but they're still the poorest people in the world, and they own, not in the world, in the nation, and they own less wealth and less homes than the majority. How can the people with the least be the biggest problems when we see trillionaires and people who are getting money, billionaire after billionaire, more millionaires than we've ever had before, and we are blaming the poor people?
Right.
So I don't understand the movement by the conservatives to blame the people who are at the bottom with the other people who are trying to get to a better place. Mm-hmm. It makes zero sense. 0 cents, man. All of us poor people, we're on the same plateau. We're trying to get the American dream. We're trying to own a home. When the normal homes in Arizona and Phoenix is going for $500,000. Where people can't get that American dream because things cost so much. Inflation has gone so fast. The price of products has rose just astronomically over the last 10 years. But we also want to establish something at the beginning, man. Habari Live will not erase the legal distinctions between a United States citizen, a visa holder, an asylum applicant, a person with work authorization, and a person living in the country without legal status. Those facts matter in court, but the Trump administration has done a lot to ignore those. The Constitution, due process, and basic standards is something that this administration just do not care about. They are governing the use of force, and they do not disappear people simply because immigration agents enter the picture, and that's what's been going on. But we will tell you what other federal authorities say happened. We will tell you what families and witnesses say happened. We will tell you what available video and reporting show. When something remains disputed, we will call it out. Our job is not to manufacture certainty, but our job is to make clear what is known, what is alleged, and what the public still has a right to know.
Mm-hmm. You're right. And throughout the show, we're going to we're going to want to have you answer some simple questions for us in the comment section. What basic rules should apply every time federal agents conduct a public arrest? Should those agents be identifiable? Should body cameras be mandatory for all federal agents? And should local investigators immediately receive evidence after a fatal shooting? Tell us how you think accountability should be held. What steps should we have federal agents take to have accountability?
I mean, the fact that these questions even have to be asked today is insane. The fact that we have to ask the question, should ICE be held accountable for their own actions? I mean, this is a fight that we have in this country. We've had several times in America. When we had the Black Lives Matter protest, when we've had the protest in the 60s, it's always been about authority. And how far can authority go? How much can the people take before they break? And I was listening to this guy on Couch Politics. I like watching him. And he was talking about Nick Fuentes today. And Nick Fuentes, sitting around blaming all the problems and all the violence that happens in the black community on the black community. It's a discussion that we've had in this country for a long time. These racists, they believe that black people are just they're just animals, and this is the reason why they're animals is because they're just born that way. It can't be the environment that this country has put them in. It can't be the situations that this country has put them in without giving them opportunities to climb the ladders of success.
Right.
It can't be that. It has to be them. They're just innately born to be savages and animals and kill each other. He brought up black on black crime, and he brings up all these things. And we always have the same rebuttals, man. White on white crime is 85, 90%. White people kill each other. Why are you guys so care about what our community does?
Right.
It's weird. But these are the things that they do. They blame everyone else. Everything that's wrong in this country is someone else's fault. And they love to use race to say it's okay because they're black.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's because, man, the opportunities that they are involved. It's not because they're over policed, underfunded. It's not, can't be any of those things. Because it doesn't matter what color you are. If you are a lost people that don't have access to anything that's going to better yourself as a community, the community usually is going to suffer. But let's act like it's just somebody's just born bad. Let's act like we couldn't. If a person is born in a situation that environment and that situation doesn't mold them into what they become. But man, we're going to begin in Houston, Texas, with the death of Lorenzo Salgado. He was a 52-year-old Mexican immigrant, a home builder, and a father. His family says he had lived in the United States for approximately 35 years and had no criminal record. But now he's dead. On July 7th, Salgado Araujo was driving with workers in his construction van when an immigration enforcement operation unfolded around him. Federal officials said agents were attempting to apprehend another person. Salgado was not the original target. That fact is central to the case, man. A man was not named in the warrant and was not the person agents were going to arrest, ended up dead that day. Horrible, horrible stuff, man. Now, we don't know who did it, so we can't say allegedly. We know the person is dead. But according to federal account, agents approached the van. Salgado Araujo attempted to flee and used the vehicle in a way that threatened officers. Their same story. This is the same story they have every single time. A vehicle was trying to flee. They didn't know what to do, and they felt threatened. Now, they say that he used the vehicle in a way that threatened the officers. ICE described the vehicle as being weaponized. Allegedly, this is what they said. Now, that phrasing matters because this inserted the threat from the van is the government stated justification for deadly force. So they can kill him because they feel as though that their lives are in danger because he's using the car in a weaponized fashion. But a lot of people dispute that. Witnesses, relatives, and attorneys have challenged that account. And this is another reoccurring situation where ICE says something and the witnesses in the video says something else. They challenged that account. Available private surveillance footage reportedly shows unmarked vehicles surrounding or striking the van. It also shows the encounter from an angle that has caused people to question where the agents were standing and whether the van presented the immediate danger that these people said that they really were facing. This is no publicity. This is no publicly available body camera recordings from the agents like normal police officers
body camera
because they don't have them, right? That leaves the public to try to piece this together without the video that should be there from these officers from this department. That leaves us trying to put together the fragments from surveillance video, physical evidence, witness statements, and competing descriptions of what occurred on that night in a matter of seconds. Now we're going to show some of the available news footage and the family's response. This video may be upsetting to some, but as you watch, pay attention to the positions of the vehicles, which is vehicle. I don't know. Let's just run the first video we have. I know I brought it in. The last one I brought in. Yeah.
El Grito obtained footage of the moments leading up to the fatal ICE shooting in Houston. You see a white van driving down Highway 90 and making a left onto Canal Street. Moments later, a black SUV appears and both cars are out of frame. So the first thing we had to do was figure out if these were the cars involved in the incident. We see a white van and the black SUV back here. If we use the videos that we verified yesterday, we see the white van and the black SUV here, and we also see this white van and a black SUV. We felt pretty comfortable saying these were the cars. The business also gave us another clip of their surveillance footage. Here we see the timestamp at 6:46 a.m. and according to the ICE statement, the incident occurred at 6:50 a.m., which puts us squarely moments before the shooting occurred. Another important clue here is about location, which my colleague Andy helped us verify.
We noticed in the footage there's a Chevron gas station, a fence, and an orange wall in the back. So using the address of the incident, we looked for the closest Chevron gas stations and came up with this one. And playing around with the angles on Google Maps Street View, we did see the same exact fence, the same exact gas station, and the same exact orange wall in the back, verifying the location of the footage we received.
Oh man, dog. If you look at the video, it doesn't seem like this guy even knew what was going on.
Right.
It looked like he was just turning his car.
He was just driving down the road.
Right. It doesn't look like, it looks like ICE came up behind him. And you see what stands out immediately is that this was not a marked police cruiser pulling over a driver who clearly understood what was happening. You got some weird car coming up behind you with people with masks on, and you supposed to know this is ICE. You have people just running up behind you. You're supposed to automatically know, oh, this is ICE, let me comply. An unmarked vehicle just running up. They're supposed to make themselves known, lights, something to let them know, hey, this is a police situation. They're not doing that. They're just running up on cars, jumping out, masked out, and people are just supposed to know, oh, this is ICE. You know, they don't know who the hell this is.
Right.
They're not identifying themselves. Most people are like, what is going on? Because they are acting like straight thugs. They're not following protocol because they're not trained. It's bad. It's disgusting. This driver clearly didn't know what was going on. He didn't know what was happening. Reports describe plainclothes agent and unmarked vehicles. Put yourself in that situation. Put yourself in the position of a person sitting in the work van and vehicles suddenly surround you. How are you supposed to know who it is? People approach you depending on what they are wearing, what they display, and how quickly events unfold. You may or may not immediately understand that these are federal agents or ICE. That is not settle whether Salgado Araujo attempted to flee. It does not settle whether an agent reasonably to believe that that somebody faced an imminent threat to them, because we didn't see all the video. But we did see an unmarked car running up on this guy. We have seen the history of ICE not letting people know who they are and where they are from and why they are there. But it does raise a lot of questions of whether the tactics used by this administration and Tom Homan's ICE, whether the tactics used at the beginning of the encounter helped create the danger at the end. Law enforcement's decisions do not begin at the moment a gun is fired. They begin when planning, Who is the target? What vehicle does the target use? How certain are agents that the right person is present? How can we make sure where the arrest happens? Will it happen at home, at the workplace, on a public street, or in traffic? Will agents be in uniform? Will they have vehicles that are marked? What happens if a bystander does not recognize who they are? What happens if the driver panics? These are things that they are supposed to be trained to know,
to answer,
and trained to react to in moments of time. But it doesn't seem like these people that is in the Trump administration, ICE, knows the difference.
They don't.
These are questions that we all are asking, even more important here because Salgado was not the intended target. The operation did not merely go wrong while agents arrested the person they sought. Instead, the operation fell on somebody else who wasn't even the target. We also need to discuss the substance found inside the van after the shooting. Authorities pointed to bags containing a white crystalline material that they said resembled narcotics, which has nothing to do with the situation. But this is how they make themselves feel better. Oh, well, he had some drugs in there anyway, so we killed him. But leave it to the right. That detail traveled quickly because it changed the public image of the dead man. Oh, he had some drugs. An age-old tactic that's used to try to demean the person that has been killed. They used it for George Floyd. They're still using it for George Floyd. Oh, he is a drug. He had drugs in his system. He deserved to die. This is how the right talks. This is how they speak about people. Instead of a construction worker caught in an operation, people were encouraged to wonder whether drugs were involved. Did he do something wrong? Is he a bad person? What about his past? That justifies the killings for the right, for conservatives. That makes it okay. Well, he did some things in his past that wasn't great. He just probably deserved to die. That's how they say it's okay for these things to happen.
Right.
Now, later testing by local authorities reportedly found that the substance was not an illegal drug. Family representatives said it was an electrolyte and lemon mixture used by workers to prevent dehydration in the Texas heat. Now, if that report is accurate, think about the damage created by the initial implication. Look how they do you. They tear apart your character because they created an issue that got me killed. They created a situation where this man is dead, and then you're going to talk about his drug use. That's what they do.
And if this is true, and if it was just an electrolyte mixture, then the family has a wrongful death lawsuit on their hands that they can file.
I mean, they're going to file that regardless, and regardless of what was found. If that reporting is accurate, think about, like I said, the damage created by that implication, man. The shooting had already happened. Whatever was in the bag could not retroactively create a threat at the moment shots were fired. Yet the suspicion became a part of the public narrative, like always. Before testing was even done on it. They already had it in their mind it was meth or some type drug. This is why responsible reporting must be careful. A substance resembling narcotics is not the same as narcotics. Suspicion is not a laboratory. You have to confirm this shit. And evidence discovered after a shooting is not automatically evidence that the person deserved to die. Like they do with George Floyd. Oh, he had a past that was bad. He had drugs in his system. He deserved to die. He's burning in hell, as they say.
But the human part of the story can disappear when coverage becomes a debate over vehicles, camera angles, and federal procedure. Lorenzo was a person. He was a father. He was part of a family. He worked in construction. His sons had to appear before lawmakers to ask for basic information about why their father was killed in the first place. Imagine learning about your father's final moments through surveillance footage, social media posts, and statements from the same agency whose personnel fired the shots. Then imagine being told that the names of the agents are not available, that the local authorities do not yet have all the evidence, and that the people responsible for the investigation may also be a part of the federal system involved in the operation. So not only are the agents involved in the investigation, they were the ones that created the problem in the first place. His immigration status is relevant to the reason ICE was operating in that community. It is not an answer to whether or not the shooting was justified. Living in this country without legal status is a civil immigration violation in many circumstances. It's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's not a death sentence. It does not allow the government to skip the same questions that follow any other fatal law enforcement encounter. Are the officers going to be placed on leave? Are they going to be given pay while on administrative leave? Just like any other federal officer who commits a shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Another issue is the speed with which the official language can define the person who died. The government uses phrases such as they weaponized the vehicle, and the phrase is repeated across television screens before the public has even seen the video. A suspicious substance is mentioned before a laboratory can determine the results of the substance. The dead person cannot hold a press conference. The family is grieving. The agents are protected by institutional silence. And that imbalance is exactly why independent evidence matters. If agents had had body cameras on, investigators could have compared that to the private surveillance footage with the agent's perspective of what they were saying was happening. We could hear the commands that the agents were giving. We would be able to see the badges or the clothing, and we would be able to determine whether or not the agents had identified themselves. We could examine the van's movements before from one angle to another, right? The body camera footage would not have automatically proved any wrongdoing or any innocence, but it would give the investigators and the public more reliable evidence to go on rather than just going off the agent's words. This is what they said happened in their report, so it must be true.
Mm-hmm.
And let us be precise, body cameras are not magic. They don't always show the right thing. Their angles aren't always accurate. The cameras can be turned off at any moment. They can be blocked. Video can miss what an officer sees, and departments can delay the release of that footage. But having no recording at all makes it harder to determine who's actually supposed to be held accountable in these situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So now we want to hear from Salgado Araujo's sons as they ask lawmakers for accountability. Listen to what the family say, and it still has not received any accountability.
He did the same thing every day and never really complained about it. Woke up early before the rest of the world did. Took with him a lunchbox with very delicious food that my mom cooked. Every time that he would get into his van just before pulling out of the driveway, he would say a little prayer and he would do the cross. This is a man who just wanted to work. And he wanted to put others to work. He wanted people to achieve the American dream just like he gave us the opportunity to achieve the American dream, to become college educated, to become family men of good character, good qualities. And that's what my dad was.
And he came to the U.S. more than 30 years ago.
Correct.
It's a long time.
Very long time. More than half his life.
What did he think about the U.S., about living here?
He was drawn by the promise that in America you can, if you put in the work, you'll get paid what you deserve. And the idea that in America you can build yourself up from nothing to become someone and to give your family a better future. And I think he really thought fondly of the United States.
Sad, man. Sad. It's ridiculous that these kids have to bury their dad, who was a hardworking man, just trying to do the right thing, and ICE kills the man. Their testimony changes the scale of the story. This is not about whether one agent made a correct decision in 1 second. It's about everything that happened before the shooting and everything the government has done after, why was a person who was not the target drawn into this operation? Why is ICE so ignorant when it comes to pulling people over? Why can they not do the job? Were the agents identifiable? What commands were they given? Where were the agents positioned? Why was there no body camera footage like always? Why did the narcotics implication become public before testing was complete? Trying to destroy the man's character. Trying to make him bad, look bad in the eyes of the public before we know all the answers. Local prosecutors received the names and statements of everyone involved. Have they gotten all that information? Have they compiled that and made sure that the right person is being held accountable? Has the family received a clear timeline of how this happened and what happened? It's more questions than answers. And that's the problem with this shit. These are not anti-law enforcement questions. It's not I'm against enforcing the laws. These are normal questions that are asked in an investigation. This is the system that's supposed to believe it's an agent whose acts are supposed to be lawful. And we should be able to verify that this person is doing the things that he was supposed to do when a person lost their life. We should be able to see the evidence. It should be provided to an independent investigator and explain all the decisions that the ICE agent made and why he made them and when he made them. But we're not getting those answers. We have to keep fighting to get information. They won't give up anything. And that makes ICE look more guilty than ever. Go ahead.
It does. And accountability does not mean that deciding the outcome before the investigation should happen. It means making real investigation possible. If the evidence supports the agent's account, then the evidence should show that. If it contradicts the account, then that must be also confronted. If the government cannot ask the public for blind trust while withholding the information, that would allow trust to be earned, right? Isn't it supposed to be you're innocent until found guilty?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the person that's blaming supposed to be the one that provides the evidence for such?
Yeah, man. So less than 1 week after the Houston shooting, another vehicle encountered ended in death. This one happened in Biddeford, Maine. Joan Sebastián Durán Guerrero, he was a 25-year-old Colombian man who worked delivering food, doing his job. And this is the main problem that we have with the Trump administration. They steadily go after people who are just working, doing their job. The first person he's working in construction. This guy's delivering food. They're adding to society responsibly, positively, and they're still getting killed. And all these people making all these excuses for ICE, and this is something that is consistently happening. This man delivering food, man. Reports say he had valid employment authorization. He was in a vehicle with his partner and their young daughter when federal agents attempted an operation connected to somebody else again. Reports indicate the person killed was not the original subject again. Agents were trying to arrest. Federal authorities said Durán Guerrero used the vehicle as a weapon again. And was this the third, fourth time?
Man.
Why is this always happening? You cannot use the same story every time. Well,
every single time.
It worked the first time, so let's just keep using it. Hey, he used the car as a weapon.
And they're going to use that excuse every single time.
Every single time. they're gonna say he used the car as a weapon. Like, I mean, dog, if you come home with homework and every time you're failing, you give your mama the same bullshit story, you know you about to get your ass whooped.
Or you get homework and you go to school the next morning and the teacher says, all right, time to pass in your homework, and you use the same excuse. The dog ate my homework.
But you've used, the dog ate your homework the last 3 times. Your mother, your teacher, no one's going to believe that. And these grown men using the same excuse to murder someone over and over. They used the vehicle as a weapon and it endangered the agent. Somehow, every law enforcement throughout the country doesn't have this problem, but ICE, it happens every other day to them. His family and supporters dispute that description. Surveillance footage from the area shows portions of the vehicle's movement and agents surrounded it, but the camera does not capture every angle or every second. As in Houston, the absence of agent body camera footage leaves major gaps.
Not surprised.
The most painful detail is that his partner and 3-year-old daughter were reportedly present. A child was there as federal enforcement action turned fatal. Sonia.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and show you some footage and reports containing surveillance footage and statements, again, from the family. But again, viewer discretion is advised here.
It's the way you got to share the screen. You got to click on the actual, go back. Click on that, the actual, that link, click on where it says 54. There you go. Now you can hit play.
Maine Senator Angus King says he spoke to DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen about the incident and was told that this person was the target of an immigration enforcement operation and had been ordered removed from the country. King says Secretary Mullen also told him the man was shot after he allegedly tried to weaponize the vehicle he was in. The senator adding that the agents were not wearing body cameras. A witness says an ICE officer repeatedly yelled before opening fire after a car appeared to drive toward him. Another witness says the man was bleeding profusely from the head and told the officers, quote, "I tried to stop."
Biddeford resident Laura Peters told CNN she heard multiple gunshots come from the intersection of 2 nearby streets around 7:17 this morning. The gunshots are heard in a video captured by her doorbell camera. Let's take a listen.
Oh, is that a car?
Multiple gunshots can be heard, but Peter's surveillance video doesn't appear to show, any law enforcement or vehicles or personnel. Reacting to the shooting, Maine Governor Janet Mills posted the following statement on her official Facebook page. "I have been briefed on the fatal shooting," she said, in Biddeford this morning involving federal law enforcement. "I know that situations like these are alarming and frightening. The Maine State Police are at the scene supporting and working cooperatively with the Attorney General's office, Maine's Office of Chief Medical Examiner, and federal officials to determine the facts of what occurred this morning."
The fatal shooting comes just days after a federal immigration enforcement officer shot and killed a Mexican immigrant during a traffic stop in Houston, sparking new calls for transparency and accountability. We're joined now by John Sandweg, former ICE acting director under President Obama. John, thanks for being with us. What questions do you have about how this particular case unfolded based on really the few facts that we know here?
Yeah, Brianna, I mean, it's the same as always, right? What caused the officer to think he was in, mortal fear here of imminent bodily harm? But also, Brianna, look, this is now at least the 18th shooting involving ICE since the commencement of the Trump administration, involving someone in a vehicle, right? So what I want to know is, why was the operational plan here to take this guy into custody while he was driving? Could we have done this in a way that posed less risk, not only to the individual himself, but to the ICE officers themselves? car vehicle stops are incredibly dangerous. They're not something that generally federal agents do. Those are what state and local police do in marked vehicles. It's especially not something that ICE has done, and definitely not something they've done much of over the last 6 years, Brianna, where the majority of the arrests have taken place of people that are already in Border Patrol custody or in custody of state and local police. So I want to know, what was it? What was the plan in terms of when we went to apprehend this individual that made us say, hey, a vehicular stop was necessary, and that we couldn't have let him at least arrive at his destination, take him into custody there, or take him into custody before he ever got into that vehicle?
Is it problematic?
Yeah, you stop sharing. Now, this answers the same question that I was trying to ask. Why don't they follow the person, watch them as they get out of the car, and then go after them? This is what normal ICE has done over the last decades. But some reason these guys can't figure this out. Now, he said there's been 18 shootings from ICE so far.
This year, since Trump took over.
Right. In almost 2 years. 18 shootings. And like I said, in my memory, I don't remember this happening ever with ICE. If you want to pull over a car, you have to have a car that is well marked. You put on your lights for a person to know it's the police. That's the reason why only local police officers, sheriffs, that's the only people who pull people over. Other agents, they stake out, they wait till the person gets out of the car and they make their move. What is the reasons that this administration cannot figure out how to do that?
Right.
You don't know how to follow someone and make sure that they're where they're going to their destination and then get them? That's difficult for you?
I guess it is.
I mean, it's really, really ridiculous. Really ridiculous.
Yeah, it is really ridiculous. But there's a pattern forming in these two cases. An operation is directed at one person. Somebody else becomes involved. Agents in plain clothes or unmarked vehicles move in. A driver attempts to move away or is accused of using a vehicle as a weapon, and shots are fired. Then the government's explanation arrives before the public even has access to the underlying evidence. In every case must be still judged based on its own specific facts. Similarities do not prove that both shootings were unlawful, but repeated similarities should cause officials to examine the tactics that the officers are using. If your method repeatedly produces panic, vehicle movement, and gunfire, then the method that you're using itself deserves scrutiny. Why do you keep using the same method to pull vehicles over?
Right.
Could agents have waited for a safer location? Could they have verified who was actually in the vehicle? Could they have just pulled over and asked for identification? License and registration, please, just like any other office official that's pulling someone over, right? Could the marked vehicles been assisted? Could the agents have avoided positioning themselves in the vehicle's path? Did the urgency of the arrest justify the danger that was created for the child and the other passenger? These questions should also be a part of the operational review, even if an individual's shooting is later found legally justified. The standard cannot be limited to, well, did the agent fear for his life? We also need to ask whether or not law enforcement choices unnecessarily created that final second. Did you escalate the situation yourself? Or was it the vehicle?
No, it's someone talking about, I just want to get them all out. Bro, these are people, this guy was here on a work visa. See, that's the thing you all are confusing brown face for just illegal. I said at the beginning that this guy had a work visa and he was supposed to be
valid work visa.
Valid. He was here. He was supposed to be here. He was working, doing his job.
His job was paying for him to be here.
So what you all are saying is that you don't want brown people in America.
That is exactly what they're trying to say.
And a place that had brown people before Europeans even stepped on this place. They were already here. And you're trying to get rid of them when this country was theirs. It's always been theirs. And we're going to treat them like, oh, get them out of here. Like, I do, dog. Luckily for the Europeans that the natives didn't form together to get y'all ass out of this country. Because that's what you all are doing. This is the way you are treating people. The natives, they were naive, thinking that the Europeans cared. Time after time and treaty after treaty. Treaty after broken treaty. They proved them to be wrong. And now in 2026, we see them pushing out the people who are from this place. Texas, California, Arizona, all of these places was already Mexico when we got here. The border took over them. They were living in Mexico. Next thing you know, they're Americans. And the people who, their family might have been in Mexico when the border changed. And they come see their people and, oh, you're illegal. You're not supposed to be here. This man was here, and he was here on a work visa, and now he's dead, and you guys are sitting around making excuses for ICE as they keep going after people who are just going to work. And that distinction is important. The legal system often examines the precise moment force was used. The public sees a wider timeline. The public asks why the encounter reached that point at all. There is also practical issues with vehicles. Police departments around the country have revised policies on shooting at moving vehicles, but not ICE. Because firing into vehicles can create additional danger when the person is dead behind a deadly weapon, a car. A wounded or dead driver may lose control of that car and may hurt someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Bullets may hit passengers or bystanders. These are the reasons why ICE should not be just shooting at people in the middle of the city.
Right.
The vehicles may continue moving. Some policies direct officers to move out of the path of vehicles when possible rather than shooting. Now, we have said this since Renee Good.
Yep.
And they still haven't figured out how to stop shooting at cars that are still moving. They just shoot them. They just shoot everyone. Mm-hmm. Are there other things they can do rather than shoot? We cannot assume the exact federal policy that governed this agent without seeing it. And we cannot assume that moving out the way was possible. But it seems to me that every other agency in the world can do this.
Right.
Why can't ICE? But this is the kind of information investigators should obtain. The ICE use of force policy, the training given to these agents, the agent's position, where was he, as we saw in the Megan Good situation. The ICE officer standing in front of a car and then it's like, oh, I'm shooting because she kept rolling. Like, dog, it's ridiculous. You wasn't even supposed to be there. We see the direction of the vehicles, the available ability for the person or the officer to escape route, and the timing of every shot.
Mm-hmm.
Reporting has also raised questions about the background of the agent involved. Those allegations must be handled carefully. A person's prior history does not by itself prove what happened, even though conservatives love to use that as okay for police doing wrong and violent acts.
Right.
But what happened during this encounter? But an agent has a responsibility to screen personnel, respond to credible misconduct concerns, and explain how hiring and retention standards are enforced and what exact training these ICE agents are receiving. This is particularly important when immigration agencies expand rapidly. A government that wants more agent, more arrests, more operations must not lower their standards. They can't lower their standards to recruit, to train, and to supervise these agents. These people are getting badges and guns.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they care more about having agents than making sure they have agents that are trained well.
Right.
Speed cannot become an excuse for weak vetting. They cannot just hire anyone, what it looks like they're doing. But let's look at Houston and Maine besides each other without pretending they are identical in both cases. Well, Arizona is going to have a lot of Mexicans because Arizona was Mexico for a long time. It has a lot of natives here too. And you can stop it with all that racist crap, man. Calling them names is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. The people who are the weird people that are here are the Europeans. Because I'm in Phoenix. That racist shit you just said. Goodness, man. I don't know how you people wake up hating everybody every day. But Phoenix, Arizona is Mexico and was Mexico for a long time. To act like the Mexicans shouldn't be here is insane. Insane. And we got two different cases, man, of ICE killing someone because their car was moving. Now, we're not going to pretend that they are identical in both of these cases. But the person killed was reportedly not the primary target in both situations. A vehicle becomes central to the government's justification in both cases and also in making goods. Over and over, officials said the vehicle endangered agents has been their excuse in all these cases. And the families are challenging this account. In all cases, surveillance footage become more important because body camera footage was not available somehow. Somehow ICE can't get. Every other agency in the nation has body cams, but ICE can't figure it out. Now, in both of these cases, relatives were left demanding information from the federal government that's not being released quickly. The federal government is taking its sweet time, but that doesn't say that they're guilty and that ISIS did something wrong. It doesn't deliver a verdict. But we see the warning signs that ICE is on something personal nowadays. We see that the operational conditions may be producing the same deadly outcomes over and over. And there's another question when a child or an uninvolved. What? Go ahead. See where we at?
Yeah. The other question, like you were saying, is when a child or an uninvolved passenger is in a car, how is that fact incorporated into the plan? What obligations do the agents have to show that the situation is being de-escalated? When the original target is not present, why does the operation continue the same way with the same intensity? The government often tells the public that the agents make split-second decisions, and that may be true at the end, but the agency does have days, weeks, or months sometimes in order to set policy before those seconds happen. It can require cameras. It can require visible identification. It could also train their agents not to place themselves directly in front of a vehicle. It could also create rules for operations involving children. If a child is present, do this. If a passenger is present that is not involved or is not the intended target, do this. If a child and a passenger is present, do this. Those things can be done. It can also require immediate reporting and evidence preservation, where policy is where government turns lessons into prevention. If the two deaths produce only defensive press releases, then nothing actually changes, right?
Right.
So we want to hear from you guys in the comment section. If a federal agents are pushing or pursuing one person, but discovered that the person is not present, or the person that they pull over is not the intended target, should they be required to stop and reassess before confronting other people at the scene? Let us hear from you in the comment section. Should these officers still conduct their operation if the intended target that they pull over is not the person they are looking for?
Right. And that you can't use racial what do they call that? You can't do
racial
that.
profiling.
Yeah, there you go. Racial profiling. I said it earlier. But yeah,
But
you can't
Scout
use
has
racial
approved it.
profiling to decide who you're going to pull over. If you're looking for a certain individual and that's not that individual, then you let them go. But what they're doing is, oh, we didn't get the individual, but here's another brown person. Hey, what's your status? That is what they're doing. They're just running up on anybody that's brown and who's fitting the description, instead of going after the people who are they're supposed to be going after. And that's what ICE did in the past. They went after the person that they were going after. They waited till that person went home, then they grabbed him. There was no situations where we're pulling over people and getting to the wrong individuals. It's disgusting what's going on. Now, if we have another video over here, we're going to play for Lorenzo, about Lorenzo. Go down. Suns up. The one's up from the Suns. I think it's that one, yeah.
From San Antonio to Washington, calls for an independent investigation into the death of 52-year-old Lorenzo Salgado Araujo growing louder.
Our community cannot stand for this!
Araujo was driving this white van Tuesday and being tailed by two dark SUVs. Moments later, he was on the ground dying after being shot by ICE agents. Now, leaders in Houston say they'll meet with the FBI to try to access the evidence as demands for answers mount. At a vigil in Houston today, Araujo's son not backing down.
And I will continue to keep fighting for him.
Proud of you.
Amid heartbreak and fear.
It could be me. It could be my mom.
Araujo was not who ICE was looking for, lawmakers say. DHS says officers saw the van and an individual who resembled the target, and that Araujo weaponized his vehicle and tried to hit an officer who fired in self-defense. Something the other men inside the van tell their attorney didn't happen.
Do you believe that the ICE officers are lying about what happened?
Yeah, well, we certainly now have conflicting testimony. I'm not prepared to say today that it's all lies, but it sure is looking that way.
Tonight, DHS is leading the investigation. Border Czar Tom Homan with this message.
We got to let the investigation play out.
Priscilla Thompson, NBC News, Houston.
Just disgusting. And people are getting fed up. People are sick of it. They're over it. They're sick of what ICE is doing. They're sick in how they're treating people. And there's no one cares what these people look like, man. This is just unfair that these people are being treated this way. An unmarked vehicle riding up on the side of you, and you just supposed to pull over, or they're going to kill you. That vehicle had no markings on it to show that these people are ICE. Then these people ride up on the side of you with masks on, and you just supposed to pull over and comply. They don't say who they are. They don't say who they're with. They're not showing their faces. This looks like a kidnapping to me.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are trying to get out of the way. Most people are trying to run in those situations because they don't see anything that's going to help them. They feel as though they're about to get murdered. ICE is supposed to be clear who they are, why they are stopping you. And this is ridiculous that we have to keep talking about this and going over the protocols of ICE and how to pull people over.
Right.
Now, if you're joining us today, this is Habari Live. Today's episode is ICE Under Fire, Deadly Encounters, Questionable Arrest, and Demands for Accountability. We have examined fatal shootings in Houston and Maine. Coming up, we turn to the detention of United States citizen in Pontiac, New Jersey, and the rapid expansion of immigration enforcement inside American airports. Please like and share this podcast. We're it's we're just growing, man. We're it's just tough. It's tough, but we hope that people are paying attention, man, and please share and like the podcast. These stories depend on documentation, local reporting, and people willing to record what happens in public. And we're going to keep this discussion going, man.
We also want to remind everyone not to threaten or harass any person discussed in this broadcast because accountability comes from evidence, lawful investigation, and public oversight, not online vigilantism. Vigilantism. Got to stumble over myself and laugh at me.
Corporate media failed the people. They told us what to think, what stories mattered, and who deserved the voice. Meanwhile, everyday people are struggling. Families can't afford groceries. Politicians are performing for cameras instead of helping the communities. And mainstream media keeps protecting the same broken system. That's why we created Habari Live. Independent media, unfiltered conversations, real discussions about politics, sports, culture, entertainment, and the issues affecting real people. We're not backed by billionaires. We're not reading corporate scripts. And we're not afraid to challenge narratives. Because the people deserve more than outrage and propaganda. They deserve truth, perspective, community, news our way. This is Habari Live. Subscribe now and join the movement. Habari Live. Corporate media failed the people. They told us what to think. Corporate media failed the people. They told us what to think, what stories mattered, and who deserved the voice. Meanwhile, everyday people are struggling. Families can't afford groceries. Politicians are performing for cameras instead of helping the communities. And mainstream media keeps protecting the same broken system. That's why we created Habari Live. Independent media, unfiltered conversations, real discussions about politics, sports, culture, entertainment, and the issues affecting real people. We're not backed by billionaires. We're not reading corporate scripts. And we're not afraid to challenge narratives, because the people deserve more than outrage and propaganda. They deserve truth, perspective, community, news our way. This is Habari Live. Subscribe now and join the movement.
A Southwest Airlines flight attendant was detained by ICE while working. The union representing Southwest flight attendants says one of its members was detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. According to ICE, officers arrested Lorenzo Thompson at Nashville International Airport on July 14th. The agency says Thompson is from Jamaica and entered the United States legally in April 2021 with permission to stay for 6 months. ICE says he remained in the U.S. after that period expired and had been living in the country in violation of immigration law. The agency said Thompson was cooperative and taken into custody without incident. The union, which represents more than 21,000 Southwest flight attendants, said it is supporting the employee and is in contact with the flight attendant's family and legal counsel. In a statement, the union said, "Every member deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and that it is working to better understand the circumstances." Southwest Airlines, which is based in Dallas, had not responded to a request for comment by the time of publication. This is a developing story. Stay updated at Dallas News.
There we go. All right, man. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so basically, this happened in Passaic, New Jersey. Cell phone video captured federal immigration agents detaining Brandon Domina, who has been identified reporting as a United States citizen. Oh, this is another one. Go to the bottom on the left. Oh man, is it tripping again?
It's not even letting me scroll.
Yeah, so
It's got a lag.
I don't understand what's going on. Can you close
Can I close what?
your phone, any internet? I know it's Wi-Fi, but oh, man, dude, this shit is being ridiculous.
There we go. You good?
All right, so like I said, let's play this video of New Jersey. It's all the way at the bottom. They're right there.
What's your name, boy? Take off your mask, boy. It's illegal to wear a mask in New Jersey. Take off your mask. Yeah, take off your mask, motherfucker.
So yeah, man, this was a United States citizen, according to all accounts. Surrounding the video, Domina questioned or recorded agents as they conducted an immigration arrest in his neighborhood. The footage shows masked agents forcing him down and restraining him and taking him into a car. During their encounter, he reportedly attempted to tell the agents that he was a citizen and asked them to check his identification. This story matters because citizenship should have ended any immigration questions, and ICE should have left him alone
Instantly.
But that's not the way they are working right now.
They don't want to verify your identity.
No, they don't care. It also matters because recording law enforcement activity in public is generally protected by the First Amendment, subject to reasonable restrictions such as not physically interfering with the operation.
Right.
The key factual questions is whether Domina merely observed and spoke, or whether agents had a lawful reason to believe that he physically interfered, what we don't see in the video. Now, it may show only part of the encounter, so we should not claim more than it established because it was only 15 seconds. But the force visible on camera and the apparent failure to promptly verify his identity demand an explanation.
It does.
And he was an American citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So we watched that interaction carefully, and we listened to what the agents had to say, what Damina says, and whether any people appears to make any meaningful attempt to verify his identity before they put him in handcuffs, and it does not seem so. It seemed like they just grabbed him up because they didn't like the way he was talking.
Right.
Now, next we're going to talk about agent, a person that worked for Southwest. We already ran one video. Let's run the second about this flight attendant that was picked up by ICE in the airport.
Good evening, I'm Clarice Tinsley. A Southwest Airlines flight attendant has been detained by immigration officers. Now supporters are trying to raise awareness. Lorenzo Thompson was arrested on July 14th. Homeland Security says he overstayed his visa after entering the United States in 2021. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager has more tonight. Peyton, good evening.
Good evening, Clarice. And different labor organizations are now working with this flight attendant's attorney and also his family. The Dallas-based Southwest Airlines Flight Attendants Union sticking to their statement today, saying they are also providing as needed legal counsel to understand the circumstances and also provide support. A Southwest Airlines flight attendant in ICE custody now for more than a week. Lorenzo Thompson of Jamaica landed back home in Nashville July 14th after his work route and was detained on the job at Nashville International Airport. TWU Local 556, the Dallas-based union that represents more than 21,000 Southwest flight attendants, took to social media with the message, "No member stands alone." The union writes, "Every member deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and we are committed to ensuring this member and their family know they are not alone during this difficult time." DHS released a statement on Thursday. Thompson first entered the United States on April 17th, 2021 on a visa set to expire on October 16th, 2021. Against our nation's laws, he overstayed his visa and failed to depart. He will remain in ICE custody pending his immigration proceedings. Friends and fellow flight attendants created and donated to this public GoFundMe, dedicated to assist with legal fees.
And our role is to support one of our union brothers while respecting the legal process.
Edward Mark, a Southwest flight attendant and also a union leader for the same union as Thompson, and a member of the Labor Council for Latin American Advancement, who said on social media Thompson had no criminal record and also was following every legal step toward citizenship.
What is the best path to help them? And that's through exposure. You know, all we're asking for is just transparency. We're asking for due process. That's all we're asking for him to be able to navigate those legal channels with fairness.
Now, Southwest Airlines did not respond back when asked for a comment today. We did go online to their website, and it says the airline requires authorization to work in the U.S. during the hiring process, but it's not clear if Southwest was aware Thompson's work visa had expired.
Now, they don't even know if the man's work visa was still valid or not before they made this arrest. They don't even know the man's standing. Overstaying your visa, okay, fine. But if the man was going through all of the correct steps to become a citizen, and he was following everything, showing up to court and doing what he needs to do to make sure he becomes a citizen, there is no problem with that guy. Now, if he wasn't trying to become a citizen and taking the proper steps to do that, then I understand, hey, you know what I'm saying, what's going on? You need to become a citizen or you need to bounce out.
Right.
But he was following the proper steps. He wasn't creating any problems. He wasn't a murderer or a rapist. These are the people they said they were going to go after. This is a guy doing his job, going to work, doing what he needs to do. Regardless if he overstayed his visa. We spoken openly earlier about Elon Musk overstaying his visa and then become an American citizen later. So this is not a situation that's abnormal. This is normal. What people do, overstaying the visa, is usually the way that most people are in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the way that you people think. Oh, Biden let all these people in the border. That's not the way it is. Most of the people come here, visit, overstay their visas, or they get work visas, or they get some type of visa and they overstay it. The illegals y'all talking about coming in through the border, it's very hard to get amnesty and come in that way. Very hard. Yeah, he overstayed by 5 years, but he still was following the process to become an American citizen, because that process can take years. You can't become American citizen if you go back home. You have to be here to be able to take the test, to be able to follow the process. And if he was following that process, there's no problem with this gentleman. And if he's working and he's becoming a positive part of society, what can you really say?
Elon overstayed his visa by more than a year.
We already know that. Elon overstayed his visa, but they don't really care because, Elon is, he's a rich guy. It's cool. Elon supported Dems for whatever, dog. That's ridiculous. It's just making excuses. Making excuses. That's it. Now, we've also watched video where earlier this year, a person that was at a protest was shot by ICE.
Mm-hmm.
ICE has just been letting loose bullets, shooting people. And this guy who talks about the person that shot this lady is like, I just wanted to scare protesters. But let's go ahead and run the video. ICE shot protester, and we'll play this here.
This is all still a shock. I'm still shocked.
She confronted a worker for an ICE processing center and then got shot. Now, Emma Landis is recovering at home, and the suspected shooter is being held on suspicion of attempted murder. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Shalima Maharaj. Our Kevin Vaughn from 9 News Investigates sat down with Landis this afternoon, and Kevin, she told you that she is lucky what happened to her wasn't worse.
Yeah, Shalima, while she's facing 6 to 8 weeks off her feet, she also knows her injuries could have been so much more serious.
They had to numb me, they had to go in and clean the debris out, stitch it.
It was Thursday night outside an Immigration and Customs Enforcement Processing Center in Aurora that gunfire rang out.
It hit me right through here, so it fractured my heel. It was an exit wound, so it went straight through my foot.
Emma Landis and a handful of others had gone there to protest the treatment of detainees by ICE. After the gathering broke up, Landis says she and a friend were walking away when they encountered workers and made their feelings known.
Things that people have been saying, calling them out, telling them what they're doing is wrong.
According to Landis and Aurora police, she and her friend had moved on when one of those workers fired a single shot.
My whole foot went numb and felt like it just got lit on fire. I couldn't walk, and then I started hyperventilating and couldn't breathe.
Aurora police identified the suspected shooter as Brandon Booth. He works for Geo Group, the private company that operates the facility.
Just because you called somebody a mean word doesn't mean you get to shoot them and ruin their life. I could have died.
Landis said today she'd been troubled by incidents involving ICE, including the fatal shootings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good.
We're seeing this stuff on the news, so it's definitely a thought in my head of this could happen, and it's a reality that we're living through. Did I think it was going to happen to me? No.
In a statement, a Geo Group spokesperson said that it had suspended Booth without pay. He remains behind bars in Adams County, held on $500,000 bail on suspicion of attempted second-degree murder and other crimes. Booth is scheduled to be in court Wednesday for the formal filing of criminal charges. Live in the studio, Kevin Vaughn, 9.
Aaron, I have to, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see Elon Musk giving millions to Democrats. I didn't see him on stage dancing with Democrats and trying to get Democrats into office. I didn't see that. Now, at first, I can say that, yes, Elon was a person that I liked. But when you start listening to him and he started talking all the time and all this racism started popping out, that's when things started changing for Elon. before he even started doing all the Trumper stuff. All the racism was enough for most people to turn their back on him and not think about his liberal leaning policies.
Then he came out and said he'll pay motherfuckers in Pennsylvania
Mm-hmm.
$1 million just for them to go vote Republican.
Man, I mean, so it was nothing to me to turn my back on him because his racism was enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then he started being MAGA and jumping around for Trump. Those things happened in that order. When he came out, yeah, he was cool. He was talking about saving the earth, and most liberals want to do those things.
Right.
You would think that the conservatives, who has the word conserve, would care about the earth, but they don't. They don't care about it at all.
You would think.
Racism, of course, right. Yeah, right. The Democrats are so racist that they're pro-equality, pro-DEI, pro-equity for minorities. And these are all things that Republicans are against. But yeah, you're right. The Democrats are the racists. Fuck out of here, man. Y'all are so ignorant, dude. You're against everything. You're against... Hegseth comes up and says that equality and diversity are bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Openly. And then you're talking about the racists or the Democrats? I swear y'all might be the most ignorant group of people that's ever came together in the history of politics. Like, you are what you are, but instead of being happy and proud of what you are, you push your shit onto someone else. You can't be proud of your racist stances against DEI, your racist stances against immigrants. How did blacks benefit from DEI? Really and truly, the people that benefited the most from DEI was white women. So your question should be who benefited the most? And it was white women.
White women. It empowered
DEI,
white women more.
It empowered white women the most. Like always, black people are always in the end when it comes in this country. But, you know, the fact that a couple of black people got some jobs because they want to make sure that diversity is a part of a country that is diverse. We are a melting pot of a country, and you all wants to act like diversity shouldn't exist in a diverse country.
Right.
It's crazy, your stances. But act like the other side is racist, though. Like, the ignorance of the right is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Why wouldn't anyone want diversity and equity and inclusion for all? Only a person that is pro hate would want to be against diversity. We are a diverse nation. Anyone that lives in America should want diversity.
Right.
How is getting rid of diversity racism? You're against diversity. It's in the fucking name. You're against diversity. You're against having a diverse public. You don't want people who are different from you to have jobs. You're openly saying you're against diversity. It's pretty obvious that you don't like other people that are different from you. Yeah, white women were the beneficiaries of affirmative action too.
He said white men.
I don't know, man. I can't say that, but they did get some benefits from affirmative action, because affirmative action wasn't just about race. It was about caste. It was about class. If you were poor, it helped a lot of poor people. So right now, the poor people are cutting themselves out by trying to be against diversity. They're cutting themselves out of jobs and positions in colleges that they would have gotten because they are poor white men. But they think that, oh, it's just helping the black people. It did. White women have always been people who have been second-class citizens in America. I don't understand what's the problem, why you can't figure that out. White women wasn't able to vote. The only people that have been at the top of the food chain since this country was established is white men. Everybody else was under them. Everybody else couldn't vote. No one else could vote but white men. That's that's pretty clear history. The women had to fight for their rights. They had to stand, they had to march, they had to protest to get rights to be able to vote. And those things didn't happen until the 20s and 30s. There's racism, there's classism, there's sexism. It's all of those things, all of the above kept everyone else from being able to make decisions from which way this country will go. Only the white men were able to make those decisions. To sit around and act like everyone else who is trying to fight for a seat at the table are ignorant because they want a piece of America. It's craziness. Black men had the right to vote after 1865. Yes, black men. But we know what happened after Reconstruction. We know how things changed and how we got to a place where black people weren't even able to vote because of the KKK and Jim Crow laws. We know how the South got a hold of the power and made sure that no other black people would be in office after the reconstructions of 1865. We know the most black people was in office after that time, but things changed. The KKK rolled in and they made sure that those black people didn't get into office again. The KKK, they took over towns. They took over black cities. There were coups all through the South, removing black power, making sure that black people can't vote. You all like to talk about these times of 1865 and then ignore all of the hate that became after it.
Right. Telling us to build our own communities.
You want to hate, right?
When they go burn it down.
And they don't want to talk about how all of the communities were torn apart by riots and raids and wars, and through these cities and black cities and areas were torn apart
because they couldn't
East St.
stand
Louis
the
to
success
Rosewood.
that black people were having.
Right. So to sit there and act like, oh, black people just they just felt like, come on, stop it, man.
Or they get mad when scientists want to study why something is happening to black people rather than happening to every other race, when it's predominantly known that XYZ happens to black people and not any other race.
Dude, you can say it's Democrats, you can say it's Republicans, it was Americans. The conservatives are the people who fought to conserve slavery. The conservatives are the people that fought to conserve and keep it where black people didn't have power. They are the people that you can say whatever you want. The Dixie Democrats were horrible. The Dixie Democrats are no more. After the 60s and the Civil Rights Act, they didn't want to be a part of the Democrats Party anymore after they pushed through those laws and Lyndon B. Johnson sided with Kennedy. And they wanted to give black people the right to vote, the right to not use their race to consider which places they could drink or eat, which water fountains they can go to. It's dumb that we keep having to have the conversation of what conservatives did in the past, when we all see you all today are against diversity, against inclusion, openly, but then say, oh, well, the Democrats were the ones that were doing the racist shit. And today you're against anything that brings in that includes everyone. Like I said, I was listening to Fuentes today, a racist guy. Racist, man. Just Fuentes is a racist piece of shit. And he says the black people are just violent. And it has nothing to do with the opportunities or the way that black people were ostracized, or the way that black people were attacked, the way the police have treated them. He blamed the riots of the 60s on black people, not on the way that we were left out of the American dream. Not that the fact that we were living in overly segregated neighborhoods for 100 years, and we still are. And segregation is still a problem throughout Illinois, the South, and most of the states in the goddamn country. But let's act like, oh no, it's just black people because they're just evil. As everything has been done to make sure that we don't have a successful anything in this country. We're not given the same options. We didn't get the GI Bill, even though we were in the same armies dying. We didn't get access to the homes. All of the things that we were left out of. All of the riots and killings in the 20s and the 30s. Then you just push them out to neighborhoods. White flight happens. They're gone, and they blame all the black people and their violence. Instead of trying to fix the problem, they run and go to somewhere else and take all their tax dollars and say, oh, they're on their own, and wonder why these people are suffering. It's dumb. It's dumb, Olivia, that we have to have the conversation of switching the parties. Do I have links to some of the articles? Man, most of the articles that I'm reading from are from CNN and New York Times, Washington Post. So it's pretty easy to Google them.
But we can also put them in the description.
Well, we'll do that. We'll do that to make sure you guys know
can
where
watch
we're
them
getting
in the replay.
Where we're getting our stuff. But a lot of the stuff is coming from local worldly news. And, you know, we don't want to, we want to make sure you guys know with the resources that we are reading and the people that we are getting information from. We don't want to seem like we're just making things up. That's not what we want to do. Because we want to make sure that we are feeding you guys things that are the truth and not things that make you feel like that we are trying to push an agenda and not just trying to push the truth. It's dumb to think the party switched. So, if you don't think the party switched, why don't the South vote for Democrats anymore? Dixie Democrats was the South. Why don't they vote for the Democrats anymore? If you didn't think it switched, why aren't they still voting Democrat in the South? If you look at the parties and you look through the 18 and 1900, you look at the early 1900s, the South was completely blue. Why are they red now if it didn't switch? It's so ignorant that you guys want to argue about this. It's obvious. You saw through the 1960s and the 70s, you saw how it changed. With Lyndon B. Johnson, who was a pure racist coming from the South. But he wanted to make sure that the president that he worked for, Kennedy, and the things that he pushed for went through because he worked with the man. And he may have been a racist himself, but he still made sure the policies that John F. Kennedy wanted to put in place were put in place. He finished that man's job, even though he may have been a racist bastard himself. Mm-hmm. The Dixie Democrats were a big part of the South. Now they are the red Republicans all across the South. They're not blue anymore. Stop acting like that did not happen. Please. We see that they are not blue. They are red. It's the reason why they went to blue to red is because they didn't like the Civil Rights Act that gave black people rights to vote. That gave black people the right to exist. That you couldn't discriminate against them and say, oh, we don't want any black people in this. You couldn't put that on your building anymore.
Right.
Those are things that the South wanted and they lived for. Racism was their everything. Exactly, the Southern strategy. Olivia knows what's going on. She reads. The problem is that 88 to 90% of black murdered males were killed by black. Well, you know, like I say all the time to you racists, 85% of white people are killed by other white people. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand why you people don't get why black on black crime, well, black people are going to kill other black people. I just told you how segregated America is. Most black people live around other black people. They don't live in white neighborhoods. Most white people live around other white people. That is why 85% of white people are killed by someone that looks like them. Because this is a very segregated country from city to city. Clinton was a Dixiecrat. I mean, Clinton was from Alabama, but I'm not going to say that Clinton had the ideals of the old school Dixiecrats. I would have to disagree with that, Olivia, on that. He definitely was from Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, or Arkansas, one of the two. Maybe it was Arkansas. But Clinton did make some mistakes when it came to the laws when it came to crack. And the bill that with the bill that was passed in the 90s.
It's from Arkansas.
That he's Arkansas, yeah. I knew it was one of those two. But I thought Bill did a good job, man. I remember when I was little, I lived in East St. Louis, and Bill came and he brought police cars to East St. Louis, and we didn't have that at that time. It wasn't a lot of police cars in the city at that time, and I remember him coming down and giving more police cars. He actually went to the city. And East St. Louis was dying then. Now it's pretty much dead. It's on life support now. But back then it was a dying city, and he came to try to help the city, man. And I don't see Trump doing those type things now. Blacks were Republicans first and went back home. They realized how racist the Dems were. Wow. There at that time, brother, there were black people that were Dems and Republicans, because there were racist factions in the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. So it was not a situation where the racism was not in one group like it is now, where you can say the Republicans are the racist group, because we know that by them waving Confederate flags and being against DEI, being against immigrants, calling them rapists and criminals. They are the racist party, but they're not what they used to be, because they don't want to admit what they are. They're weak today. They don't want to stand on their principles. They want to try to say the other party is racist, even though the other party has the most minorities, is the most diverse, something that they are against. They hate diversity. They hate people that look different from them. But they're going to sit here and tell us who is racist. They're amazing. They're an amazing group of people, man. I went to the city from Appalachia. Did not expect to see such abject racism, mostly from cops. Yeah, I mean, dude, there's racism in Chicago, man. Chicago has had a problem with racism since the 60s. If you remember, go watch the videos of Martin Luther King coming to Chicago, and he said that Chicago was worse than the South. The races that they had out there, the Irish and the Italians and all those people that was in Chicago, and the Polacks, they were racist, man. They were really, really terrible. And they're probably still there to this day, because that wasn't that long ago. Chicago was still one of the most segregated cities in the country. Milwaukee, all these places are segregated. Illinois, even though they are liberal places, the segregation is still an issue. The investment in black neighborhoods is still an issue. Are the leaders not racist bastards that just speak out for racism? No. But they still do not do enough for black neighborhoods and black areas and black schools to make sure that they are not headed to jail in astronomical rates. Only faces of diversity with no proven positive track records. Why y'all fall for it? What? Diversity has been America's strength since the beginning. World War II, we had the natives, and they used their code talkers for we can use their language to be able to talk in code for the other countries couldn't figure out what we were doing. Diversity has always been a plus. When the black people were here and they were slaves, they taught the Europeans how how to grow rice and keep rice good in this country. All of the things that the natives have taught us, all of the things that the Africans have brought here, all of the things that other people have brought to this country, from the Germans that came here in the 40s and 50s that helped us with nuclear rockets and materials. And those guys should have probably been in jail because most of them was working with the Nazis. But we brought them in and they helped us to build rockets for we can get to space. Diversity has always been our strength. What are the wealthy Black people doing to recreate these Black communities? It's a lot of people that does a lot, man. I'm not saying that they are doing enough to make a difference, but a lot of people are doing a lot in Black neighborhoods to try to make a difference. Obviously, they're not doing enough. Obviously, we need more, and we need something. We need people, everyone that is Black, to realize that we have to stick together. That no one is going to save us. No one is going to make it better for Black people. Now, I get jealous. I see Jewish hospitals. I see Jewish this and Jewish that. And Black people, we haven't built that equity. We haven't built those principles. And it has been a lot of systemic issues that have caused this. But with the people that are wealthy and the people that have done well, they have to do more. We can't depend on the government. We can't depend on white people or Europeans. We can't depend on anyone to save our neighborhoods. We have to do it ourselves. And I wish that more rich people that make it out of these areas do more to fix the areas that they come out of. I use racial slurs. What racial slur did I use? No, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not being that. It's nowhere near do I want to be racist in any way or form. If I use a racial slur versus anyone, I would not want to do that. That's not in my mission. I don't know what racial slur I use, but okay. Democrat men are pathetic, bitch-made pussies. Wow. Okay. That's why we don't have nothing now. Always trying to include others. You're wrong. I'm wrong because we're trying to include others. What would Europeans, how would they have survived North America without the inclusion of the Native Americans to help them to survive this country? If it wasn't for inclusion, the Europeans and the pilgrims that came here, they wouldn't have survived. Other people went out of their way to help them. Other people went out of their way to show them how to survive, how to grow, how to make things happen. Why, when it's your turn to help others, you want to turn your back? And then openly call yourself a Christian as you turn your back on your fellow humans because they don't look like you or believe the exact same gods that you believe in. You're right. What are the white people doing? Obviously, they're not doing enough either, because we wouldn't have so many people that are homeless and suffering in this country. Obviously, people are hoarding money, hoarding dollars. They don't care about their fellow man. They just care about their private jets and their steaks and their Kobe beef. They don't care about us. They don't care about the people that are living on the streets. They don't care about the poor. They don't care about the people that are losing everything because of their health care. We have to do better as a country. We have to care about more. So we have some rich people who say we should be taxing more, so those monies would go to the people who are at the bottom, instead of steady pushing towards trickle-down economics that doesn't work for anyone. Now, I want to thank everybody for talking with us today and talking about ICE and what's going on with the terrible actions that are happening in our government. And I appreciate you all for talking with me and having this discussion. Hopefully, you guys can share this and we can keep this discussion going with more people. We done took a hit with our views the last couple of weeks because we was on a
vacation.
We was on a vacation, and if you stop, YouTube hits you, boy. But we'll be back, man. Our numbers will start growing back again as soon as we get back in the groove. But thank you guys. We appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Help us to get to more people, man, for we can try to stop the hate. Grow this country, grow something that's doing something for we can make a difference for everyone, man. We appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Peace out.
Thanks for watching another episode of Habari Live. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and get updates on news, the podcast, and more. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to visit www.habarientertainment.com. See you next week. Peace.